subscribers are kind of my true crime babies, and they love true crime, and I know some of you kind of like true crime and other videos, and then some of you don't like true crime. So for those of you that don't like true crime, I'm sorry, but I've got so many ideas in the works for like non-true crime videos, so don't worry, there is plenty coming for you soon. I do just want to say, if you want to skip directly to the start of the case, I will leave the time here somewhere, because I haven't filmed in about a week, so there's a few things that I want to catch you up on. So if you're not interested in this information, then just skip ahead to the case. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is just, we hit 3,000 subscribers yesterday, and I just want to take a second to say thank you so much. Honestly, I know it might get annoying when I say in my videos, like, please like and comment and subscribe, like, please like, comment and subscribe, like, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'm sorry for that, but it's just honestly a lot of work goes into ASMR videos. I never realised, like, when I just watched ASMR videos, and when I was considering making a channel, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty easy, to be honest. Like, all you have to do is sit in front of a camera with a microphone, and I believed that, and honestly, it's just not like that at all. Like, any fellow ASMR creators watching this, you know that it is not that easy, and as soon as you press play, record, you know, birds start singing and dogs start barking and your neighbours start playing music, and then your camera dies or your microphone's not working, or, you know, it's like, it's very hard to get a decent video, and especially like true crime videos, they take hours of research and stuff, and I love it. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I love researching true crime videos, otherwise I wouldn't do it, but yeah, it's just really nice to kind of have that hard work rewarded by you guys liking the videos. You know, when the videos have a positive response from you guys, that is like the best reward, really. So yeah, I just want to say, like, how thankful I am for 3,000 subscribers, and yeah, I won't blabber on too much about it, but I just want you guys to know that I am so grateful. And what else did I want to say? So I thought it would be fun to incorporate a little bit more of, I don't know, you getting to know me. I don't really know how to explain. Basically, I've had more and more requests for like Q&A videos, so you guys can like get to know me a bit more, and I think that's a really cool idea, and I will definitely do another dedicated Q&A video soon. But I thought what we could do is, in every single video, at the end of the video, I will answer one of your guys' questions. So if you ask me a question down below in the comments, it can be any question you want. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be juicy, I don't know, anything you want. And then every video I will pick one question to read out at the end of the video. So you will be getting a shout out, and I will answer your question. Let me know what you think about that. If you're not bothered, then we won't do it. But if you want to do that, then let me know by leaving a question down below. And yeah, that is all I wanted to say. Thank you, and that question thing. And I am going to move on to the video. So I hope you episode of True Crime Week, I am starting out with quite a well-known case. If you live in America, then you may have heard of this case already, but I just really wanted to do like a dedicated video on it because it is so sad and so strange. So it is the case of Timothy Pitzen, and Timothy Pitzen is a boy from Illinois in America, and he went missing when he was 6 years old. However, the thing that makes this case even more kind of interesting is the fact that he has never been found. So he still to this day has not been found, and his mother seemingly orchestrated his disappearance. So it is a unique case, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So a little bit of background information. Timothy Pitzen was born in Aurora, Illinois, to his parents James Pitzen and Amy Joan Marie Fry Pitzen in 2004. They were a very normal family, a very average family. Timothy was known to be a very eccentric and energetic and happy young boy. He was just very happy. He loved playing with his toys, like he liked talking, like he was just a very normal, happy little boy. Now, it must be said that Amy and James were going through a little bit of a rough patch in the months leading up to Timothy's disappearance. So we are fast forwarding to 2011, and James and Amy were having a bit of a tough time in their marriage for numerous reasons. The main kind of reason at the time was because Amy had recently just gone off on a cruise holiday, a cruise vacation with one of her friends for her birthday, and it was very kind of spontaneous, and she just kind of up and left James and Timothy, and went on this fun holiday with her girlfriend, and just kind of left them at home. So we can presume that James was just not happy with this. I mean, I wouldn't be happy with that. Fair enough if it was like a planned thing, that they'd planned it months before or anything, but what I read, it seemed like it was quite spontaneous. So yeah, James was just kind of annoyed, and Amy was just, I don't know, they just were kind of arguing about it. And another kind of part of this disruption in their marriage was that Amy allegedly suffered with severe depression, so she was mentally unwell, really. And James said that Amy had attempted suicide before, so she was just quite a troubled woman, I think. But she loved Timothy. Both of his parents loved him so much. But yeah, that just kind of gives you guys a little bit of background, to what happens next. So we are just going to kind of jump into the disappearance of Timothy. So on the 11th of May 2011, James dropped Timothy off at kindergarten, and everything was fine. It was a completely normal day, and James said that the last thing he said to Timothy was, "I love you and be good." And unbeknownst to James, that would be the last thing he only started to be asked really when James returned at the end of the day to pick Timothy up, and the teachers said that Amy had already taken him home. So James was super confused. He hadn't heard from Amy, he hadn't known that something had happened, so he was instantly very worried, thinking that something had happened, and he wasn't made aware. So he was really concerned, so he immediately tried to contact Amy, but she did not respond to any of his phone calls, so he just couldn't get through to Amy, and he was just super worried about where his wife and child were. It is known that after Amy picked up Timothy from kindergarten, she dropped off her car at a repair shop at 11 a.m. and an employee of the vehicle shop drove her and Timothy to a zoo. It was the Brookfield Zoo, and security footage shows that Amy and Timothy spent the day at the zoo. It was, everything was normal. They just had a day out at the zoo. And then after this, they returned to collect their vehicle from the same repair shop at 3 p.m. on the 11th of May, same day. And after this, Amy drove herself and Timothy to the Key Lime Cove Resort in Gurney. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, Gurney or Gurney, where they spent the night. So this is where things get a little bit strange. It was strange anyway that Amy took Timothy out of school to take him to the zoo, but that's not unheard of, I guess, but this is strange because for the whole day Amy had been ignoring everyone's phone calls. Nobody knew where her and Timothy were, and now she had driven them to this hotel resort where they were staying the night. So James was completely panicked. He had no idea what happened to either of them. He only managed to kind of calm down a little bit when Amy actually called her mother, and Amy stated that everything was fine, they were safe, but she just needed some time away from James. So at this point, all is kind of well, I guess. It's weird that Amy just took Timothy out of school, but she was quite erratic. The next day, on the 12th of May, it is said that Amy and Timothy went to a water park in Gurney. They went to a water park. Again, there is footage of them together enjoying their time together. Timothy looks happy in this footage. Everything is fine, and Amy's credit card reports show that she bought Timothy a lot of toys and games and things. So from the outside looking in, it literally just looks like a mother and her son enjoying a mini holiday, really, just having a mini vacation. They were both having a nice time together, so nothing really is super alarming yet, but things were soon to take a little bit of a darker turn. So Amy and Timothy spent the night in Gurney and then drove to a resort called the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin, and they were spotted on the security footage in the checkout line the next day at 10 a.m. So that was the last time that Timothy was seen on security footage. So now it is the 13th of May. It is 2 days since he was taken out of school, and for the past 2 days they've been having a great time. this is where the case takes a very devastating turn. At 7:25 on the 13th of May, Amy was spotted alone on security footage at a dollar store in Winnebago. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. And at the dollar store, she purchased a pen, a notepad, and envelopes. And there was no sign of Timothy. Amy was seen again at 8 p.m. at a Sullivan's food store in Winnebago, and again she was alone. So, at 10 a.m. in the morning, Timothy and Amy were together, and by 7 p.m. Timothy had just disappeared and there was no trace of him. So at 11:15 p.m. on the 13th of May, Amy checked into the Rockford Inn at Rockford, and she was alone. Sometime in the night, Amy very sadly committed suicide and was found the next morning by a hotel maid. She had cut her wrists and her own neck with a knife, and all she left behind was a note, and there was no sign of Timothy. And within the note, it stated that Amy was sorry for the mess that she had created, and that Timothy was safe with people that would look after him, and he will never be found again. So this is the kind of turning point in the case. Amy, for whatever reason, killed herself. So Amy is dead, and there is absolutely no trace of Timothy. And within this letter, Amy is saying that she had left Timothy with some people. So obviously Amy and Timothy's family were notified of what happened, and everyone was devastated and shocked. But most of all, people just wanted to find Timothy, because there was no real sign of Amy having done harm to Timothy. So this is kind of a theory that I wanted to kind of discuss early on, because of course there are theories that Amy killed Timothy. She was obviously suffering with mental illness. She was obviously confused and scared. So some people take kind of "he will never be found again" as an indicator to the fact that she killed him. However, there is no evidence to support this. The only evidence that was found that could kind of support that claim is the police searched Amy's car, which had been kind of left by a highway not that far from the hotel, and they searched the car, and there was a considerable amount of Timothy's blood kind of found around the car, and the police were obviously quite curious about this. But several members of Amy's family and Timothy's family stated that Timothy suffered from severe nosebleeds, and that he had a nosebleed in the car and it got messy. So that kind of theory that Amy could have, killed Timothy doesn't really hold much standing. However, I will say that there are rivers. There are fast-flowing rivers around the area which I believe were searched, and nothing was found. But I mean, if you want to be, really speculative, you can't completely rule out the fact that Amy might have done something to Timothy. But I personally doubt it, because there is so much evidence to say a body would have probably been found, especially if she had kind of, put him in a river. But again, I'm not an expert, we can definitely play the devil's advocate and say that Amy did do something awful to Timothy, and she hid his body, or she did something to the body. Like, you never know. But I personally don't believe that. So let's go on to the other theory, which is the most likely, and it is that Amy organised an illegal adoption for Timothy. So the motivation for Amy wanting to, give Timothy away has been kind of speculated, but the main kind of theory is that she wanted to divorce James. Amy had been divorced 3 times before. Like I said, she suffered with depression. She was just not a very happy woman, and she wanted to leave James. However, she may have been convinced that James would win a custody battle due to her history of mental illness and her attempted suicides. It is likely that Amy was worried that if she was to separate from James, that he would win full custody of Timothy, which of course would break her heart. So maybe she felt like the only way, that she could really win, I don't want it to sound like that, but the only way that she could kind of be happy is that if she kind of ended her life and that Timothy was with other people and not Jane. Now, I find this really hard to kind of understand, because James, for all accounts, was a very loving father, a very good father, so I can't really understand why Amy would, not want Timothy to be with his father, and surrounded by people that loved him. But you just can't imagine what's going through someone's mind, I can't speculate. Maybe she just, hated James and despised him and resented him, and she didn't want Timothy to be around him. I mean, that's definitely not the first time that we've seen a case like that, wherein a mother doesn't want her child to be around their father for whatever reason. So yeah, that is the most likely case, that Amy organised this kind of adoption, and then ended her own life. The reason why this is complicated and confusing, and the reason why the case is so famous, is because, there has been absolutely no sign of Timothy. There has been non-stop searches. The case is still open. There has been several age progression pictures of Timothy around. He's a very well-known boy, especially in the area. To me, it is just crazy that, potentially a family have been hiding Timothy this whole time. Also, another reason why it's quite hard and confusing is because Timothy was 6 when he went missing, and that is definitely old enough to, understand. Timothy would have remembered his father, especially in the years, months or years after him being placed with these people. He would know that he had a father, and he would wonder why he was not with his father. This would be very confusing. So that's another kind of main reason as to why this case is so baffling, because Timothy was old enough to understand the situation and possibly old enough to remember it as well. So possibly, Timothy is a teenager now. check out the boy. He stated that he was Timothy Pitzen. Now, this was crazy at the time. Like, all of the media were like, Timothy has been found, you know. There was tons of theories as to maybe Timothy had escaped the people that had been keeping him, you know, or maybe Timothy had just finally kind of realised that he should come forward with his story. This was massive. I can't even imagine how James would have felt when this boy had come forth and said, yes, I am Timothy Pitzen. It must have been so emotional. However, the police quickly found that this boy was not Timothy, and he was in fact a 20-year-old man who had kind of just been released from prison for petty theft, I think. And yeah, so this man must have just been very kind of mentally unwell, and yeah, pretended to be Timothy. So yeah, I just can't imagine how devastating that would be for Timothy's family, you know, to have that grain of hope again that Timothy was found, and it to come up to nothing. So yeah, that is, you know, basically the end of the information about the disappearance of Timothy Pitzen. I am sorry if this case has been a bit jumbled. It's just because it genuinely confuses